It's a 1 year, nearly 1 year I'm staying in Chennai district.
Awesome. Okay. And Anbu's also joined. Anbu used to be, he works in Coimbatore. Is it that we are completely remote? We never see each other's faces? Yes, we do. We do faces in a planned manner twice a month. Uh, we have a meeting where we have a rented space from 11 to 3. We take a business conference room. All of us get into that room and huddle. That's once in 15 days. That's twice a month. And every Monday we have a 1 hour meeting, which is over Google Hangout. That's basically to understand where we stand. Basically, what we do is GitHub as a issue tracker. And this is for everything that we do inside Tiny Magic is basically in the GitHub. And it's not that we were like this from day one. Okay, so if you look at Magic Spark is one of our core applications, and we have multiple applications, but the issue tracker is specifically in the repository of Magic. So whether it is not just a specific technical task itself, anything that needs to be done. So to give some more example, she found that there was something wrong with the icon on the website. So this was, she was browsing it randomly. And what she does is she actually raises an issue and posts it to me. Now this is not a pure application or a technical work, which we typically think of when it's going to GitHub. It is just one team member found a problem and send it to me. So in a classical case, we would send an email, or I am the other person, or call them and tell them. Now, because we are working remote, what has happened is this has become a culture within us. So basically, a GitHub has become a communication tool. So once she puts it, right, it goes into the backlog. Now I can pick it up whenever I want. Okay, so that's one example. The other example is something like we needed to do some SEO changes. Again, that was raised as an issue by Sudhir. So he's one of the another team members. He hasn't joined. Now, around March of 2018, right? I wouldn't even remember the date, but thanks to these things, I can actually tell it. There were concerns around, we were trying to get a security expert to help us revamp our application such that it can be GDPR compliant. But okay. So what was done is, even in that case, what were the questions that is there was we actually created an issue that let us write the list of questions that we want to. And if you look at it, once that was done, each person, whenever they had time, right, they actually made the list of questions that they had as a comment into the issue list. Now, interestingly, one of the advantages of this is that uh, now it's this was on April 9th. Now, more than 1.5 years later, now when I have to ask somebody else, let's say a new person joins the team, and we kind of say we want to go back and say, you know, what were the doubts we had. Now I need not go looking for Sudhir and ask him, you know what, me and Sudhir had a discussion, can you talk to them? Let's say I'm busy. What I kind of do is immediately send them, go to GitHub, there is an issue where we had the list of questions and doubts, have a look at that. So we leave it at that case. And the other technical thing that we go is also about, we want to find out new things. Now this is about work assignment. One of the classical problems which I have seen with technical my teams is that what we are doing is more a research kind of a work. It's very vague, it's not very clear. uh, I do not know how to assign the work very clearly. So what we kind of do is we split that also into an issue. Like for example, if somebody has to understand something, it's something like here, Sudhir, I had asked Sudhir, you know what, can we use some Laravel reporting component? Now something as task, as CTO, I request him, can you find out some reporting components? What he does is again creates an issue for himself. Now there are two ways. In this case, what has happened is I asked Sudhir verbally, but Sudhir does not consider that as a work until he logs it as an issue. So usually we ask ourselves this question, you know, can I create the issue, or As soon as I finish talking, we create the issue. So this keeps happening on a continuous basis. And now if you can see, what he has actually done is he has documented the different reporting components. Now, incidentally, we all talk about knowledge management and sharing of knowledge within teams. Now, this again is a 1.5-year-old story. Now, any new member that comes in, I have organization knowledge about some time. Like, let's say Sudhar had spent, let's say, 3 days researching this. And if he had shared it over a meeting to me and he's given a demo, that is gone. Now, Sudhar is still with us, but probably if Sudhar leaves, I still have that knowledge with me. So that is something as simple as even, let me look up a video. Let's go into that. Okay. So that also gets tracked as a part of this issue. This was purely an operational task. There was absolutely nothing technical about it. There was nothing research about it. It is purely an operational app that we had to set Manu, who was one of the groups, as a team member. Okay, so and interestingly, what happened at that time is that there was no user interface for this. It had to be manually and scripturally done. So one of the things that happens is the Magiq here, she's also joined. So actually what she has actually done is she has actually put in the query here. Now the advantage is, and I kind of say, yes, it works, and we close the issue. The advantage of doing something like this, right? And operations with a script, classically, we also would tend to have something like, we would want to make a document for it or a help text. Yes, it is good to do that. Okay. There is no doubt that doing something like that is a good issue, which needed a technical script to be run. And because she had documented it, now let's say a new team member comes and they have to do this. I don't really need to do a knowledge transfer. We have heard this KT stuff. And doing something like this removes that need. Then another type of issue is, I work with other third party. So this is a person called Win. He helps us with making presentation of content. He helps us. If some of you would see in some of our PowerPoints, he has helped. Our website was designed. He's actually a partner who works with this very creative person. Now, classically, this is non-technical. It's again not connected to the application itself, but it's got to do with something at Tiny Magic level itself. Now, that again is something which is communicated here, so that a lot of the comments that we want, right? How we have to check. So, for example, it's between me and Sukumar. So I don't have to give an update to Sukumar what's happening. I just go and update the status over here. And if Sukumar has to check what's the latest site, he doesn't call me. He doesn't message me. He doesn't IM me. He just goes to this issue, see what is there. There is a site which is there. He looks at it and then he goes by himself. So the dependency on me to be physically there goes off. The smart use of labels and milestones. So there would always be things which are very critical. Okay, so what we have is a simple process such that the most critical thing. So if you look at the labels, we have different kinds of labels. And I guess the most critical label is we mark an issue as customer support. So basically this means that somebody has to work on this actively. So we create an issue, mark it as customer support, and assign it to a person. Typically what happens is we also have a Slack channel, and we take a roster of every fortnight, a different person will be in charge of customer support. So whoever wants rises in customer support, and to that person who is on roster support, a issue is created and a link to that issue is sent on Slack. We have anyway integrated the GitHub with Slack. So default addition, modification of any issue automatically throws up on Slack, it also comes as an email. So there are different ways in which the information that something is happening in the organization uh, reaches the person. So anything that happens in the company, I would say anything is an exaggeration. Honestly speaking, I would say 60 to 60, 70% of the stuff that happens in the company happens through GitHub and issues. Now, anything that happens there will go through Slack, and it will also land as an email in any person's pic. So that's a asynchronous way of push notification kind of a thing. Now, once this is there, the person can come to GitHub and get more details about it. So this is how we address ad hoc kind of an emergency issues. And customer support issue, we typically have a 4-hour SLA understanding by which someone will pick it up, and the one who's in charge will actually see if they can do it. If not, they assign it to another person and they go. So that's the customer support bit. The other thing with respect to work assignment is we strictly follow something called milestones. So if you can look at it, right, we have 107 milestones. Now, again, let me go back in history to see how we have evolved. Okay. So as you can see, we started using GitHub on 2017, but much later, 4-5 months later only, we started using the concept of milestones. And you can see how the milestones itself has evolved or matured. So, for example, previously we used to have it as um, a different dates, and we used to have milestones as some task or a feature kind of a thing. But then that wasn't working well for us. We couldn't really assign and understand what each person should do. So after that, we kind of switched to a model where we would say we would do something every week. Okay, so we will make a release as, for example, June R2 means it is end of June. So if you look at it today, we are in so if you look at the calendar, right, week 1, week 2, week 3. So this March 20th, today, it will be March R3 2020. Okay, so that's the convention that we came to. But again, another interesting thing that you can note here. Can anyone see one problem in the milestones? Any of you can unmute and just make a comment.
Listing of year. Milestone name.
Yeah. Any others outside of Tiny Magic? Can you find out what is the flaw in what we are doing? Okay. So if you look at it, right, we had June R2. Then there was no June R3, June R4 is not there. Then suddenly July R1 comes up. Okay. July R2 is not there. Okay. Then we had July R4. Then after that, it is complete black hole. Then December R1, R2, R3. Can anyone guess what happened?
These are closed. Maybe the rest are open. Are still...
That's very kind of you. Okay, so can anyone from inside Tiny Magic tell what happened?
Maybe we delete the milestone.
We didn't create milestones. It's not that we were good at it. Okay, we were absolutely indisciplined. Okay, so it came up as a concept, but it didn't work. That's all. So there was one initial enthusiasm. It's like the honeymoon period. July R1, R2 was the honeymoon. Then the honeymoon got over. Okay. So after July, reality came back, and you see that all milestones has disappeared again. Okay, we were going back to our old ways of randomly assigning issues. But still the issue assignment was happening, but there was no strict discipline around how do we assign work and get it back. Okay, so we went back to our old method. So this is something which we have to realize that when we try something new, it will slip, it will go bad. Okay, and then we have to get back into the track again. Then in December, we again got it forward, but then you can actually see holes here again. You can see R1, R2, R3, R4 is again missing. Okay, January R1, R2, not there. Okay, so what happens is over a period of time, okay, R1 is there. Okay, R1, R2, R3, R4, all are there. Okay, so probably what happened is as we started doing it, we started getting better and better at it. And as we start going forward, right, over the years, you can actually see we became more and more disciplined, and it became a habit for all of us. So today, when we get into a meeting, I was telling we have a fortnightly meeting and a Monday meeting. Typically, it would be like, what is the work that, in fact, like what has happened now is there was a time when in the Monday meetings, we would spend around 40 minutes assigning work to each other, telling this milestone, what you would do and what you would. And now we have reached a stage such that there's a bunch of tasks. I, as the lead, what I would do is by Friday, I will assign issues to all the people who I think can do it, right? That's my assumption. I'm not too sure that whether they can do it. So for example, let's take an example of, let me look at the open milestones itself. And what I would do is, let's say on Friday, I would go and I would see what are all the open issues which is there. And what I would kind of do is pick it. So typically there are some issues that's already assigned. Okay, so I would pick ones where for which there is no milestone. So for example, here there are a couple of things that is there over here, and typically when somebody assigns a issue, they will assign it to me, and it's my job to assign it to people. So what I kind of do is I pick up a couple of these tasks and assign it to a team member. It could be Magiq here, and I would assign it to, it kind of shows what are all the milestones coming. So there is a R3 and a R4 milestone coming up. So I would kind of mark it into March R4 and leave it there. Now, when what happens is now, if I kind of refresh it, it would kind of say what are the milestones which needs to be done in R4. Now, Saturday or Sunday, by Sunday, what would happen is the team member will actually go through the issues from what is assigned to them from their milestone perspective, and they kind of make a call whether they can complete it in a week. If they can't complete it in a week, they will put a comment there that I can't complete the whole thing, but this is the partial output that I would finish. They will update it, and they will just put a comment there and leave it. But if they can't completely take it up, they will assign it to a next milestone possible. So the one that is, for example, today is 20th, right? So if they couldn't pick it up something here, they will assign it, and we keep creating newer and newer milestone as we go along.